Hi folks, you're with Tacitus today at Your Pushback channel, and today's essay is about girls graduating high school and still wanting to live off a rich man. I was asked to give a career talk to a senior high school kid, say in the 17 to 18-year-old range, who just completed their college graduation exams. At first I balked at the idea, as for the last 20 years plus, Western education has been so artificially feminized and racialized that it is hard to determine if schools are centres of indoctrination or education. For anyone other than straight white males, academia has become just one big ideological Marxist equal outcomes machine, devoid of almost all merit. As this was a high school in an upper middle class area and mostly white, I had anticipated the students would possess a somewhat realistic view of the world and the challenges they may experience and face in pursuing any chosen career. Even making allowances for age, who really knows what they want to do at the age of 18, the lack of reality amongst these kids was stunning, and the state of fantasy most noticeable among girls and minorities. Feminisation of the Western education system, such as making gender equity allowance for girls, was starting to creep in during the 1970s into the high school and college system, and was ramping up considerably by the 90s into the barely restrained fever-pitch ideological madness of today. It therefore seemed reasonable to assume, with all of this feminist education, that the girls in the group would perceive themselves as equals to boys in every respect and would aspire to careers as mathematicians, engineers, scientists, and so on. In fact, the number one career choice of all the girls was meeting a rich guy, preferably super hot looking, and living off his money in a dazzling life of travel, expensive clothes, yachts, sumptuous meals, and endless parties. The second career choice was to be gifted an easy, well-paid job where little, if anything, was expected of them, and where lots of time would be available to arrange a busy social calendar. All girls were unanimous in disapproval of any form of pass or fail merit testing, grading, or being judged in any way, and would not want jobs that came with being judged based on a clear, objective standard. The very idea of personal responsibility was something that visibly caused them stress. The girls argued that they were creative and they possessed unique and indescribable abilities that no objective test or criteria could identify or adequately appreciate. This mystical creativity, they asserted, indemnified them from all the accountabilities and responsibilities that, say, straight white men must take and endure. Moreover, they viewed collective responsibility and open-ended committee-style discussion as the natural order, and the thick, impenetrable bureaucracy was highly prized by the girls, while even the notion of individual decision-making was disparaged. They had been taught in the education system to see the world and its interacting parts in terms of vague abstractions, but these abstractions were couched as givens or firm articles of faith, but devoid of all detail or context. For example, any white majority country is fascist and oppressive. Why and what are the proof? Where are the details? Not necessary. We just know it's so. And let's just move on. The white patriarchy is everywhere and must be defeated by permanent revolutionary activism. Where is the white patriarchy everywhere? Can that be proven? No, again, it's a given. No evidence is needed. It's just fact, and that's it. Climate change is real, and yet another example of white fascist patriarchy. Colonialism is a white invention, they're taught, and was only ever practiced by white people, and it's evil in every way. Again, show me some proof or evidence. Not necessary, not needed. We just know it to be so. Slavery is a white invention, and the only reason why white nations are rich today and black nations are economic basket cases is because of this slavery. Again, proof or evidence? No, not required. It's just so. Women are not equally represented as engineers or scientists because they've been wickedly oppressed by the patriarchy. Is it because women actually don't choose those sort of careers, don't really want them, or don't like to be independently and objectively assessed or judged? Nothing to do with it. It's the patriarchy. That's it. Move on. To be black and to be gay is amongst the most culturally advanced people on the planet. The gender wage gap is real, they are told, due to, yet again, an oppressor patriarchy. I attempted to point out the unchallengeable fact that slavery has been around for thousands of years, and was not in any way a white invention, not at all. In fact, white people ended slavery. I had barely got to the end of the first short sentence before the female teacher jumped up, already in a lather, an absolute state, and she asserted the subject was forbidden, adding as rhetoric, "We all know white people profited the most from slavery. Subject closed." So this white teacher with mostly white students paid for by white tax dollars in a majority white country is teaching the kids to hate and hate big time on white people. Yikes! Ponder that for a moment and consider the white male politicians you elect stand by and do nothing to stop it. In fact, they encourage and facilitate it and denounce those that speak out against it. Fewer than 25% of the girls expressed any, even minimal interest in having a family, while nearly all specified an interest in traditional female employment, such as nursing, junior school teaching, or in social justice type gigs with an NGO, or in a funky fashion retail boutique in a downtown mall. None of these jobs pay enough to permit anyone to buy a house or even rent an apartment in a big international city anymore. How do these girls think they'll be able to afford the life of parties and nightclubs and wearing the latest ultra-cool fashions? The thought hasn't even crossed their minds. The idea of sacrifice, tight discipline, hard work, long hours at the office to build a career had the girls looking at me in utter disbelief. Who would be dumb enough to subject themselves to such rigours? The few girls who did aspire to career-type occupations did not think they should have to work for it in any way or be the best at any chosen endeavour. Instead, they believed that they should be entitled to some fancy career as part of some vague form of compensation for historical patriarchy. All the girls believed that quotas and affirmative action, lowering the bar easy cop-outs just for girls, were fully acceptable and necessary, while at the same time, and quite ironically, asserting it was okay for boys to be rigorously tested and subject to pass or fail merit. So why is it okay for boys to be tested rigorously and not girls? Oops, the teacher jumped in again. That's a disallowed question and a disallowed thought. The girls unanimously agreed a university degree was and should be an entitlement to them to an exciting, well-paid job. The remarkably well-behaved white boys, other than a very flamboyant gay kid, were far more subdued than the girls. It is clear that years of being told they are evil oppressors and buried under mountains of hate-filled feminist propaganda has had its effect. They sat quietly, sardonically, and with patient resignation, accepting their ideologically forced inferior social status. So what has all this feminized ideological education indoctrination achieved? Girls have been detached from any desire to have a family or to prioritise such or to have any sense of responsibility. Rather than replace one lot of responsibilities, for example the family, with another set of responsibilities, instead girls now have an absurdly inflated notion of their own abilities and an all-consuming sense of entitlement, absent any sense of responsibility or sense of duty. With attitudes like this, what could possibly go wrong? In the end, have girls actually been elevated? Well, no. To get the equal ideological outcomes, the bar for girls has been lowered, then lowered again, and then lowered some more. Have boys been seriously emasculated so that girls can artificially appear on par with boys? Well, very much so. This is, of course, all running to a globalist script right across the white Western world. One wonders that it is the pell-mell rush to achieve these long-standing globalist objectives that they have lost sight of the massive and accumulating collateral damage, so much so that the price paid for this globalist initiative, this dumbing down of education, this emasculating of boys, the artificial raising of girls, that the price for all this has already exceeded any possible benefit that the globalists could derive. Put your thoughts below, and you've been with Tacitus today, and thank you for listening.